Hello, and welcome to another Deep Dive Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're hanging out with us today because, honestly, we're going on a fascinating scientific detective investigation. We're going to uncover the invisible, microscopic world right inside your kitchen. I mean, have you ever actually wondered what's happening in your frying pan when things get really hot? We aren't just talking about getting that perfect crunch on your food. We're talking about some wild, dynamic chemical reactions. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the hidden chemistry of frying oils. We've got some incredible research data to solve the mystery of what goes down when our cooking oils are pushed to their absolute limits. So let's just dive right into it.
So I really want you to think about this for a second. What happens when your cooking oil gets too hot? It's a pretty high-stakes question, right? Because the answer isn't just about, ruining the flavor of your dinner. It's actually about this unseen and potentially really harmful chemical breakdown that's happening right in front of you. While your oil might look perfectly normal to the naked eye as it heats up, down on a molecular level, it is undergoing a dramatic transformation. And we're going to look at exactly what that transformation is and why some oils handle the heat like absolute champions, while others just completely collapse.
All right, let's start with Phase 1 of our investigation. Section 1, the frying problem, focusing on thermal degradation. Okay, so when you fry food, you are essentially creating a perfect storm for oil breakdown. You've got moisture from the food, oxygen from the air, and intense temperatures around 200 degrees Celsius, which, let's be honest, is usually right about the point where your smoke alarm starts screaming at you. This intense combo forces the oil into oxypolymerization and thermo-oxidative decomposition. Now, let me translate that heavy science jargon for you. Basically, the heat, the water, and the air irreversibly destroy the structure of the oil's molecules. As these molecules break apart and violently recombine, they form toxic byproducts, which we call polar compounds. So this isn't just a slight change in the oil, it's a fundamental degradation of its chemical integrity.
Now, you might be wondering, why does this matter to you and me? Well, because these polar compounds carry some really severe health risks. Health surveillance agencies, like Anvisa in Brazil, for example, heavily regulate this stuff, stating that polar compounds in oil must absolutely never exceed 25%. Yet studies actually show that certain foods after deep frying in heavily reused oil can contain up to 50% of these toxic compounds. I mean, that's wild. Consuming heavily degraded oil poses severe gastrointestinal risks. We're talking serious irritation to your intestinal tract, diarrhea, and in extreme cases, it can literally reduce growth. This is exactly why figuring out how much heat an oil can really take is so incredibly critical for our health.
So, how do we solve this problem? Well, we bring in forensic science. Let's move on to Section 2, fingerprinting culinary oils. To really understand how these oils break down, researchers first had to divide our everyday culinary oils into two distinct camps based on their fatty acid structures. On one side, we have monounsaturated oils. Think of your classic olive oil. On the other side, we have polyunsaturated oils. And these are going to be your common kitchen staples like soybean, sunflower, and corn oils. The key difference here? It all comes down to their chemical double bonds. Olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fats, while soybean oil is absolutely packed with polyunsaturated fats. And, as we're about to see, this tiny molecular blueprint dictates exactly how they're going to survive in a hot frying pan.
Now, what's really interesting here is how perfectly the data visualizes these differences. Take a look at this PLSDA model, which is basically a map of their chemical fingerprints. Check out the red triangles way over on the far left. That is our monounsaturated olive oil, completely clustered in its own isolated little zone. Now look at the green asterisks and the black dots on the far right. Those are our polyunsaturated soybean and sunflower oils, heavily overlapping because their chemical structures are just so remarkably similar. These infrared scans prove that olive oil stands completely apart from the rest of the pack long before we even turn on the stove.
All right, we have our suspects identified and fingerprinted. It's time for the ultimate showdown in Section 3, the thermal stress test.
To really see what these oils were made of, the researchers subjected soybean and olive oils to a relentless torture test. I mean, they heated these oils to 200 degrees Celsius for 5 hours a day, across 3 days, for a total of 15 grueling hours of continuous thermal stress. Now, why exactly 200 degrees? Well, because commercial oils actually contain natural and added antioxidants to protect them. But here's the catch. Those antioxidants completely fail and lose their efficiency at temperatures above 180 degrees Celsius. So heating them to 200 degrees was the perfect trap to force rapid, irreversible thermal oxidation.
And you don't even need a microscope to see the failure happening here. Notice the immediate, visible darkening of the soybean oil over the intense heating process. Because soybean oil has a higher percentage of polyunsaturated fatty acids, it's highly prone to what chemists call Diels-Alder reactions. In simple terms, the oil molecules are quite literally polymerizing. They are binding together to form thick, dark, degraded compounds. The oil goes from this pale, clear yellow to a thick, dark amber. You can literally watch its chemical integrity failing.
But hey, we aren't just relying on what we can see with the naked eye. Let's dive deeper into Section 4, the chemistry of breakdown. The first major metric of an oil's health is its total acidity. When oil oxidizes, its triglycerides break apart and release free fatty acids, which raises the oil's acidity and indicates partial hydrolysis. Now, health regulations say soybean oil shouldn't exceed 0.3% acidity, and olive oil shouldn't exceed 1%. Look at this stark contrast. Under the 200-degree torture test, soybean oil broke the safety limit in just 4 hours. I mean, it failed on the very first day of the test. Olive oil, however, held on to its molecular integrity much longer, surviving all the way until hour 11 before crossing its safety threshold.
So the absolutely crucial point is right here when we look at the peroxide limits. Peroxides are the initial, dangerous intermediate compounds formed when an oil oxidizes and basically begins to rot chemically. Health agencies strictly cap these levels. Look at this. Soybean oil skyrocketed past the legal maximum peroxide limit in a mere 3 hours. It became completely unfit for consumption almost immediately. But the olive oil? Get this. The monounsaturated olive oil never crossed its safety threshold for peroxides during the entire experimental test. It held the line completely.
To prove exactly why this is happening, the researchers went back to the mid-infrared spectroscopy. These charts showed the exact mid-infrared readouts of the oils breaking down hour by hour. In the soybean oil chart on the top, researchers saw massive drops in the bands representing double bonds, and these huge spikes in the bands representing carbonyl groups. What does that actually mean for us? It means the heat is actively snapping the double bonds in the polyunsaturated soy oil and replacing the hydrogen atoms with dangerous free radicals, which then become aldehydes and ketones. And in case you're wondering, yes, those are the exact compounds that make rancid oil smell and taste absolutely terrible. Meanwhile, the olive oil chart on the bottom shows a far less violent molecular shuffling.
We can see this relationship perfectly mapped out on this plot, which tracks the entire life cycle of the breakdown. The red circles show the peroxides in soybean oil absolutely skyrocketing, while the orange squares show olive oil's peroxides rising at a much slower pace. But notice the green and yellow shapes down at the bottom? That is the iodine index, which is a test that measures the presence of molecular unsaturation. As the heat goes on, the iodine index drops, meaning the vital double bonds in the oil are actively breaking. This proves an inverse relationship. As the molecular structure of the oil collapses, which we see by the dropping iodine index, the toxic peroxides and acidity soar right upward.
Okay, so we've reviewed the crime scene, analyzed the chemical fingerprints, watched the torture test, and pored over the spectroscopic data. It is time to deliver the final judgment on our heavyweight culinary oil matchup. Let's move to Section 5, the final verdict.
The researchers sum up their findings with this definitive conclusion based on all that chemical data. Monounsaturated oils are more suitable for consumption than polyunsaturated oils. Thanks to its distinct chemical structure, with way fewer vulnerable double bonds, the monounsaturated olive oil resists oxidation, stops the rapid formation of toxic polar compounds, and holds its integrity significantly longer under high heat than the polyunsaturated soybean oil. So science officially hands the heavyweight trophy to the monounsaturated profile, while polyunsaturated soy essentially has to throw in the towel.
So we arrive at the end with a final question for you. We've seen how the invisible chemical structures of our food dictate our health, and we've seen just how brutal a 200-degree pan can be on the wrong oil. Next time you stand in your kitchen and turn up the heat, which chemical fingerprint will you trust in your pan? Are you going to go with the oil that collapses in hours or the one that holds the line? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the hidden chemistry of our kitchens. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you on the next explainer.